Today our group will be introducing the concept of living vertical wall systems, also known as green facades, with a focus on energy saving through sustainability. This concept falls under the theme of sustainable construction and is especially relevant in innovative modern construction. In an ever-developing era, why must humanity destroy all natural elements to construct new infrastructure? Can man and nature not simply coexist? Humanity cannot continue to abolish the world's diminishing natural elements without dire consequences. We must conserve and coexist with all flora and fauna, even if it is in a modified style of existence. Green facades allow this notion to become a reality. Living walls involve the establishment of climbing vegetation onto the facade of a building, where it is either rooted in the ground or in planter boxes throughout the building's levels. Vegetation is then trained to grow directly onto the wall surface or on an overlying wire framework, thus allowing nature and construction to coexist in the same space. The building structure is kept separate from the vegetation through the use of hydroponic technology and waterproof membrane, which allows the vegetation to be nourished and develop without affecting the building's structural integrity.
The focus now shifts to whether or not the living wall system has the potential to reduce the average household energy consumption. To understand where the potential for energy savings come from, we must refer to the sunlight percentage composition that hits a single leaf. Between 5 to 30% is reflected, 5 to 20% is used for photosynthesis, 10 to 50% is transformed into heat, 20 to 40% is used for evapotranspiration, and 5 to 30% is passed through. Energy savings can hence be achieved through the following mechanisms. 1. Interception of solar radiation by the effect of the shadow produced by the vegetation, where direct sunlight on the facade is filtered by the leaves. 2. Thermal insulation provided by the vegetation and substrate. Here the stagnant air layer between the facade and living wall system has an insulating effect to slow down the heat transfer between the inside and outside of the building. 3. Evaporative cooling that occurs by evapotranspiration from the plants and substrate. Evapotranspiration is the cooling of the heated air through evaporation. By covering the building with vegetation, the summer heat is prevented to reach the building skin, and in the winter, the internal heat is prevented to escape. And finally, 4. Variation effect of the wind on the building. Dense foliage will reduce the wind flow around the facade and thus also helps to prevent the cooling down of the building. The fact is that even if a living wall system manages to decrease the indoor air temperature by just 0.5 degrees Celsius, it will ultimately reduce the electricity usage for aircon by approximately 8%, which definitely favors sustainability and a big plus for reducing energy costs.
Central Park is an urban development project which is the first project to ever incorporate green facade and living walls in a high-rise application. The concept was to create a living organic facade on the scale never undertaken before, incorporated with green walls and individually designed bolt-on and sit-on planter boxes that contained over 350 species of plants. The planter boxes are supported by 4 slabs curtain wall panels which create the living wall aspect of the design. Plants don't need soil to grow, making them possible to grow without compromising the structural integrity of the building, thus a living structure. Hard concrete and asphalt surfaces heat up a lot faster than soils and plants, making cities and buildings hotter and requiring more air conditioning usage. The living walls will provide improved thermal quality of the building and air quality, and reduce noise pollution. The building's living roof works like a meadow, absorbing water, filtering it, slowing it down, and even storing it. That helps reduce the threat of sewer overloads, collects rainwater, and uses for irrigation throughout the building. Solar panels are also installed on this roof.
Living wall systems, also known as green facades, involve the establishment of climbing vegetation onto the facades of buildings, which also allows nature and constructions to coexist in the same space. This provides a sustainable approach by reducing the mechanical ventilation to result in a lower energy use, noise effect, greenhouse emissions, and also an improvement of indoor air quality. The Central Park is analyzed, which shows the specific application and feasibility of green facades. The application of living wall systems are not limited to building. They shall also be practiced in other urban constructions such as bridges and railway stations. For the great benefits and effects which the living wall systems are having on sustainable constructions, more practice shall be carried out. This is not only for a more joyful living experience, but also for the environment, for our great and unique Earth.